Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today is May 19th, 2022. Got a lobster on the mic and back in the office. I have been up since 3 a.m. It's about 8 a.m. I got the jet lag. It's radiating through me. I was on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and I went to Dubai, I went to Jordan, and I went to Israel, and I had a chance to see all the sites. I went to the Old City, went ahead and went to the Garden of Gethsemane, went to Masada, the Dead Sea, and then over in Jordan, Wadi Rum, and also had a chance to see Petra. How about that? And then there's a little bit of business in Dubai that I had to take care of. But anyway, 10 days total running around. And unfortunately, I didn't have much of a vacation for a lot of those 10 days. Because while I promised myself I wasn't going to work, I ended up working and doing a lot of stuff. Come back to the office and, as always, get gifts. So let me show you what I got. This one comes from the Philippines. How about that? And it had a little note on the back, and I'll go ahead and read it off for you guys. From Cebu City, Philippines. Dear Mr. Hoskinson, first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Joshua, founder of Moonimals, an NFT project, the Cardano blockchain. We started this project last September, and since then, we have already minted more than 5,600 NFTs and sold out immediately. Well, first, congratulations to that. We would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude for making all of this possible. Cardano has changed so many lives, including ours. I worked as a seafarer before I ventured into the world of CNFT, and my ultimate goal is to find something that allows me to work from home. I don't want to be away from my family anymore, and Cardano has helped me pave the way towards that being a real possibility. For those of you who don't know, the Philippines is actually the second largest remittance country in the world. And no matter where you go, you usually run into some Filipino working somewhere abroad. And most of them send money home. So it's not uncommon for people from the Philippines to spend years to decades away from their families, making a living so that they can take care of people. Anyway, back to the note. Please accept these gifts on behalf of the whole CNFT community as a way of saying thanks. We know you like to carry pens in your jacket, so we look for a decent one and that you'd surely want to carry around somewhere in the office. And then they also gave me the painting. The canvas is signed by our artists, Gang Arts, and we call it the Commander's Lab. The character's named the Commander, which is based on you. I guess there's a somewhat striking resemblance, although he has more hair than me. He's a wealthy scientist, oh my, who formulated the acorn serum that will transform Moonimals into mutants. If you're interested in some Cardano NFTs, please email us. We'd love to gift you some of ours. You may also reach out on Twitter. Thank you so much for reading this letter and accepting our gifts. Have an amazing day, sir. Sincerely, the Moonimals team, the gang. Well, thank you so much for sending these things. I make it a policy not to receive NFT gifts for people, although many people have tried and unsuccessfully so. Although I do appreciate the paintings, and we have a big pile of them here in the office of various things that people have sent. Another thing, on my reading list is the Drunken Dragons Universe Autonomous Intellectual Franchise with Decentralized Intellectual Property. They finally finished the white paper. You may remember that I interviewed Francisco and his partner a little while ago, probably about 3-4 months maybe, and we talked about the Drunken Dragons ecosystem and all the cool things that are happening there. And they said, hey, we're going to write this white paper and talk about decentralized intellectual property. And they did. They've sent me a copy of the white paper, so it is on my reading list. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, let me show you another thing. So this one is a more interesting gift from an unknown sender. It's bound in a wooden cover. It's got blood on the pages, so go figure there. And it is filled with all kinds of extremely bizarre stuff. Look at that. And hand drawings and so forth, all done by hand. It's quite old. Let me show you some of the interesting work in here. How about that? Yeah. So hell of a thing to receive in the mail. Anyway, I bought a book scanner, and I'm going to go page by page scan the whole thing, and we'll do some analysis and see if we can figure out what flavor of Aklo that is, and hopefully some Cthulhu. Okay, now a few more things. So that's the gift section. We have a lot going on for consensus, as I mentioned, and we're trying to bring as many people as possible there. And that's going to be June 9th to 12th for consensus. June 8th is going to be the IO community event. You got to pay to go to consensus. That said, the community event is free, and we're paying for that. We're putting that on with a lot of other members of the Cardano community. My hope is to get as many people as possible to Austin, Texas, and just meet everybody, spend some time with everybody, enjoy seeing you guys, talking to you guys. You know, markets go up, markets go down, enthusiasm goes up, enthusiasm goes down, but the community is the community. You guys are always here, and it'd be a lot of fun to just spend some time and really enjoy getting to know what you're working on, and also allowing other people in the community to showcase the things that they're working on for the rest of the people. As many of you know, the Vossel Hard Fork is coming. That event's going to take place, I believe, June 29th. So shortly after consensus, we're on kind of the final stretch, just working our way through it. It's a very major upgrade, pipelining, and a lot of SIPs are coming. And then there's a huge amount of discussion post-Vossel of what's in scope for the rest of the year. So likely more Plutus improvements, likely some enterprise stuff, infrastructure for side chains, performance improvements, and a litany of other things. But we'll, in later Cardano 360 episodes, discuss that as we get a little closer to the end of the year. But this is the big one for now, and I think it's going to open up a lot of dApps that have been waiting a bit. There's still a lot of work to do on documentation. There's still a lot of work to do on opening repos. One of the things that I'm going to be pushing very heavily for, there's kind of three things. One, we just had the Barcelona summit for formal methods and applying formal methods to Cardano smart contracts. To me, it's very important that everybody who writes Cardano smart contracts uses the tools to make their contracts better, so we don't have hacks and problems in the ecosystem. So we're going to really push that heavily, and we're going to try as hard as we can to translate and communicate what's been decided and the things that are being done in the Barcelona summit at consensus with the dApp developers. Two, it's very, very important that dApp developers in our ecosystem open source their dApps, open their dApps up. So we are going to try to work with as many as possible to change over the repos from private to public. Now is the time. There was kind of a little area there. They said, hey, we're learning things, and, you know, let's keep things closer to the hip. But now is the time, because there needs to be some pedagogical code for everybody to play around with. And three, there's just a lot of educational materials that need to be drafted and tooling that needs to be done. There's some great stuff like TX Pipe, for example. Let me show you guys that. I really do follow a lot of these community projects. Okay, so TX Pipe, here is the website for it, and I'll show you guys a little later. So there's a lot of little stuff like that that's starting to crop up and float up, and it's really impressive to see how put together the community is becoming. So it's a good event to show that off, and so we're definitely going to push heavily for it. Okay, a few more things. Let me share my screen. Share. Wow. Okay, first off, I'd like to thank Ripple. So Ripple Blockchain Collaboratory to support education research at the University of Wyoming. So Ripple gave a gift to the University of Wyoming to establish the Ripple Blockchain Collaboratory at the University of Wyoming, and it's going to foster innovation in blockchain, cryptocurrency, and cybersecurity. So whenever anybody donates, especially to the University of Wyoming, I love pointing it out. And this just recently came. It was released May 13th, so just about 6 days ago. And it's really exciting. And, you know, my good friend Steve Lupin is quoted here. He says, we'd like to thank the Ripple Foundation, which has consistently supported blockchain higher education efforts around the world. So it's really good to see that things are catching on at University of Wyoming. Okay, so now the meat and potatoes. I am going to start moving over to a personal knowledge management system. And the one that I'm going to play around with the most, because there seems to be a ton of material for this on YouTube, is Obsidian. How about that? So basically, Obsidian is a place to store all of your notes, and it's a way of organizing knowledge. And it's compatible with a lot of other systems that exist. So, for example, there's a lovely book from Sankey Ahrens called How to Take Smart Notes, and this covers the Zettelkasten note-keeping system. So that's how Zettelkasten is spelled. Zettelkasten was invented by an academic who wrote, I think, more than 60 books and thousands of papers and all kinds of things. And basically, it's how he organized knowledge. And there's a lot of great neuroscience behind this. Obsidian is interoperable with this. And also, there's a whole bunch of other productivity tools that are connected to it. And I figured now is the time to kind of go from an ad hoc system to more organized system. Now, I'm not paid by Obsidian. I have no commercial relationship with them. I actually just went on YouTube and looked at a bunch of videos on knowledge management, and Obsidian is the one that came up a lot. And so I said this would be a lot of fun to play around with. And they seem to actually have a pretty good community site and a Discord and a lot of nifty things that are coming through. So I'd invite many people in the Cardano community, because a lot of you are always interested in how do I remember so much stuff or organize so much stuff, to read this book, How to Take Smart Notes, and learn about Zettelkasten, which is really remarkable. And then take a look at Obsidian. It's free to use, I believe. And I guess they have some online stuff to sync notes and so forth. But play around with it and see what you think. All right. So I will see all of you in just a few weeks. I will be in Washington, D.C. next week, meeting with lawmakers, lobbyists, and think tanks and other organizations. We're going to try to get ahead of what's coming on the regulatory side. I will, once I scan this Cthulhu book, probably make some of it available if you guys want to take a look at it and help me with my ACLO. And if you happen to be in DC, we may hold a community event. No promises on that. We'll just see what's available. The problem is whenever we do these, they snowball and they get really, really big really quickly. But in any event, I'll give you guys a readout when I'm in DC. So lots of stuff coming. Consensus is going to be big. Cardano is definitely on schedule, and every day is just chipping away. We're making progress. Cheers.